Welcome back to Into the Filmverse. My name is Bryce Payne,
I'm Mytchel Chandler.
and today we are going to be discussing Ryan Coogler's feature film debut, Fruitvale Station, along with our thoughts on DC and the plans announced at the end of January by one James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn, I love him.
So we'll jump straight on into Fruitvale Station, directed by Ryan Coogler, as said, starring one Michael B. Jordan and Octavia Spencer.
Michael B. Jordan is amazing.
He is fantastic. So Fruitvale Station is a heavy film, very heavy. It follows the real life events that happened to one Oscar Grant as he tries to celebrate New Year's Eve with his loved ones and trying to get through the day.
Yeah. Sorry, I just get angry every time I think about it. So, this dude, at least the way Oscar's portrayed throughout the film, definitely trying to do his best the way he can, the way he can figure out life.
So Oscar Grant is 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Now Michael B. Jordan does not look 22 years old, but he is 22 years old.
I think he does.
He does okay, but I thought he was a little older. Maybe I think it's because I'm 24. So it was just like, look, you look way more mature than I do. So like, I just don't believe you're 22.
Oh man, what's that film we watched that was like horrible with the music that was like Dear Evan Hansen? Yeah, as long as it's not Dear Evan Hansen level, I'm good. Like as far as like
that guy looked like he did, yeah. At least Michael B. Jordan wasn't trying to be in high school.
Yeah, exactly.
But so Oscar, we'll just run through the day in his life. I mean, the movie opens up with showing you what happens.
Yeah,
it doesn't hide anything.
No, it's like they pop him right away, and I'm like, bro, we just gonna start like this? We just gonna start like just straight punching us in the face? I mean, I guess obviously you know what the film like what happens.
Yeah,
so
because Fruitvale Station is about the death of Oscar, and it's showing the events. And the film does a good job of portraying him as a normal, everyday guy just trying to get through life, which creates some heavy moments where you feel this air of despair throughout the entire film. And I know I texted you when I was watching it. I was like, yo, this film is heavy. Like there's an air of just sadness.
There's
dissolution.
I was like, well, yeah, obviously, because they popped him off in the first, they kill him in the first fucking minute of the film. But then there was a certain, so I was like, well, they kind of just built into it. But then there's a certain scene that happens that I'm like, you know what? Like I see what you're saying, because it's more than that. There's like a scene when they're driving along just down the road, and it's obviously on New Year's, so that's pretty much most of the film is.
It's all one day.
Is it?
It's all one day.
Huh.
You see him wake up and get ready for work.
But see, what happened with the prison thing then?
Prison's like a flashback.
Okay, see, that's what I thought. Okay, I was confused. That's why. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because he's remembering that.
That makes more sense then. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, so they're driving down the road, and his daughter's in the back, and she looks out to the window, and she sees like a family on the sidewalk like shooting off fireworks, but it sounds like gunshots. Like it doesn't sound like fireworks. And like it's also like very slow, like they slow it down a little bit, and it's also like pictured through the glass, and it's also like it just doesn't, it seems very, and they kind of like lower the music. And like it seems very eerie. Like
the music plays such an important role in this film.
It does.
Like music is something I typically don't pay too much attention to. It's there and it creates mood and atmosphere, but I'm paying attention to the story, not the music.
Yeah.
But I noticed the music in this because like as I was watching it, I was like, this music cues is making this film feel so sad and depressing. And I think part of it is what's happening. You know what's going to happen. You know he's going to get shot. You don't know when it's going to occur. You have an idea of where it's heading because they keep mentioning like you're going to take the train. You need to take the train. And you're like, you know it's coming. But the music is so heavy that it gets in your gut. Like you feel the weight of the film and the topic throughout the entire runtime. Every single time he goes somewhere, you just feel this immense sense of dread.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because even though you know that that's not the time he's gonna die, it's just you just know what's happening, and you're just like you want him to grasp each moment, because you know where it's heading, you know.
And you see Oscar as he goes to work. He's lost his job. He's trying to get his job back, and he gets told like, "Hey, I'm not hiring you back. I'd have to let someone go. It's too late." And like it's almost like they keep kicking him when he's down. And I know it's because you know what's happening, and if you didn't know, you'd be like, "Oh well, there's always a good chance he could get out of it." But as you know what's happening, you just keep seeing him like, I don't want to say spiral, but you see him like almost delve back into his old life,
Yeah.
but kind of make the better decision to be like, I don't need to do that. There's a better way to get out of this. I don't need to go down that road again. And you feel like he's actually trying to make amends
Yeah.
and put his like best foot forward, but it's what's gonna happen, so you're just like,
I will say that he uses the word bruh a lot.
so much,
A lot.
so much, and like I kind of got old, but at the same time I was like, it feels genuine though because people talk like that.
I know.
I work with a kid that says bruh all the
Like,
time. Like I'll be working and he'll just be like bruh, and like after you mentioned that this guy said bruh the time that Oscar said bruh, I was like I noticed it more, and I was just like, dude, he never like this kid at work never stops saying bruh.
it was like, why does he just keep saying like it's a crutch? Like it's a social crutch that he's using. I'm like, why?
But I don't know, dude. Like Oscar's so tragic. I mean, you see him and his
Yes.
daughter, and you see how much like you feel like he cares about his daughter a lot, and like he's telling people like, hey, I have my daughter, and it's such an important part to him. Like even like there's a scene where he's a flashback in jail. His mom, played by Octavia Spencer, comes to visit him, and he's like talking to her, and she's like, "This is the last time I'm coming." And he was just like, "Don't leave me in here. Don't, give me a hug." She was like, "Well, maybe you brought your daughter to come see you," and he's like, "I can't do that."
I mean, obviously, we could probably do more of a deep dive into this, but I'm just kind of getting your thoughts on this. Do you think she knew she was gonna tell him that she didn't want to come back after that, or was it because of the way he reacted to that one guy that she was like, you know what, I'm not gonna go through this again? Because like it felt like to me like it was a normal conversation, and she was
And
there
then
for him, and like she didn't really want to be there, but she, I could tell
it
that,
was
but
like it was her son, so she knew, so she had to be there.
yeah.
But whether she wanted to be there is a whole different
But
thing.
then she saw him like kind of get up and talk like he almost transformed into a different person.
100%. He became so aggressive and like,
No, it's like it was such a great acting moment for Michael B. Jordan because you could see the moment, like even in his
as
eyes,
soon as he was
it
like, "Oh, is your
turned
mom a snitch too?" He like turned to a whole different, like he turned into
turned
an
to Will Smith.
animal.
Sorry, I'm just kidding. It's horrible.
I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. But
Keep
he
my
like
wife's
he got
name
the
out your mouth.
way he got up and was just like, "What'd you say, bruh?" And you're just like, "Oh crap!" And it's like you saw like Octavia Spencer's acting where she's just like, I can't do this." Like it's not an atmosphere she wanted to be in, and then to
Yeah,
see him in his primal, it was almost like too much for her.
yeah. It's like she didn't want to see her son in that light, and she didn't want to be part of that.
Because later in the film, you see how much she actually cares for him. Because she's like, hey, go out and drink and have fun tonight, take the train, or just a little thing, especially at the ending
Yeah,
where,
ooh, got chills.
oh man, it's so heavy. But she loves him and she cares for him. But I think she was just like, I can't be in this situation anymore, and you're putting me in this situation, and it's not fair to me, your daughter, or your girlfriend.
Right.
And then there's a moment where, man, he's talking about, he's hiding that he lost his job, right? And he's scared to tell people that he lost his job. And he doesn't tell his mom. He just tells his girlfriend. There's a scene where his girlfriend finally like, "Hey, what's up? What is going on?" And he finally is just like, "Screw it. I lost my job." And it's a brave moment for him because you can tell it's not normal for him to be that vulnerable.
Right.
He's very much, you get the feeling that Oscar is very much like, I'll figure it out. He's not willing to ask people for handouts or try to get help. He's like, I will do this. So for him to be vulnerable and tell his girlfriend like, "Hey, this happened. I'm trying to figure it out, but I haven't done it." And then her instant reaction was like, "Are you back to selling dope?" And then he's like, "No, I threw it away." She's like, "I don't believe you."
Yeah.
Which is partially, you see who he is as a person in that moment. Up to that point, he would have gone and sold dope,
Right.
figure it out. But he's grown. You feel it's like, he's realized like, this isn't what I need to do. I mean, he goes to sell the dope and then he chooses not to.
Oh, is that where he gave it away?
Yeah, I mean, he gave the thing, he got rid of the brick.
Yeah.
But he was going to do that and he chose not to because he didn't want to put his daughter through that situation again, which is why we had the prison flashback with his mom. And it's such a growing moment. And then his girlfriend's like, she doesn't believe him, but she's willing to like accept it, and like she's giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like, we'll figure it out when we get through it together. And this was one of those things where you see them together, you see their love for each other, and they're wanting to be with each other, but you know what's going to happen to Oscar. And it's hard. It's emotional.
It just shouldn't happen.
And then
I mean, so yeah, I mean,
something I think about is there's a scene where a dog gets hit by a car, and Oscar tries to help the dog, and how it is a parallel to what happens to him, where the dog gets hit, the dog was innocent, wasn't doing anything, and then Oscar at the end gets shot, and it's like a parallel because no one helps him.
I am trying to remember the dog getting run over, but for some reason that's
He goes to the gas station to fill up his car, and he meets the dog, and he's like, "Hey, what up, boy?" And then the dog goes on the street and gets hit by a car. And he's like,
Oh
"Slow
right.
down," which is a parallel because what happens is Oscar gets shot, and the cop tries to say that he thought his gun was his taser. If
Which
the cop had slowed down,
okay, let me. I mean, this is about to be. I'm just going to take a quick sidebar right here, real quick. How the hell does this happen? Right, like in real life, how does that happen? Where a guy mistakes his gun for his taser, right? Right. Obviously, there's a lot of things that happen with that, but then that happened again recently.
it just keeps happening.
Like
You
how the
know, the
fuck?
thing.
Wait, it was with a girl. I think a girl that did she said she mistook her gun for her taser, and I'm like, how the okay, like, how do you do that? Just in general, but also how does that happen again after this happen? Like this happens with this gentleman, and then Oscar, and then why is there more training and things that happen to say that that's not an excuse anymore? You know?
You know what this film had me thinking about? George Floyd,
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that's well.
because it just keeps repeating.
There's another dude recently that got shot and died because the police officer said she she thought she grabbed her taser instead of her gun. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. The taser's on a different part of your body.
It
It's
makes
less heavy. Like it doesn't make any
it
sense.
doesn't make any sense. It's almost like it's an excuse,
Yeah.
which is kind of what it feels like to me here. Because especially when you watch Oscar get shot, now obviously this is based on true events and not the actual. We're not watching what actually happened. I'm sure there's a video out there where you can see it, and it's probably grainy, 240p or whatever. I'm sure it's out there because people are recording it on their phones.
Right.
But it's one of those things where the officer is so quick to grab his gun and then shoots him, and then almost doesn't really react to it. Like he's shocked because like, oh my god, I did that. But it's not like a thing of like, oh my god, I like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It
It's
doesn't
not.
sound no.
It's not like he's
Also,
shocked that he didn't use his taser. He's shocked that he actually pulled the trigger.
right. Also, it doesn't make sense why he even did it in the first place. Like
No,
he had
at
him on the
all.
ground anyway already.
And
There was like 3 other officers on top of him. Oscar.
had their knee on his head,
Yeah.
which is
Exactly.
why
Like,
it made
what
me
are you
think
doing?
of George Floyd.
Oh, right. Right.
It's just the parallels to what's happening today is astounding. I mean, this is 14. Well, not even 14. Was it 14
This
years
basically
ago?
happened pretty much right around the same time that the movie like it basically happened like Ryan Coogler basically directed it like right after it happened. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure.
I think it's like 5 years after. I think it's 2009. I want to say.
I could be wrong. All I know is that like
I don't remember the date.
because they got a
2009.
okay.
So this came out in 2013. So 4 years later.
Okay, cause yeah,
But
and I know
to
that.
be 14 years after this movie, after this event, 14 years after this event, and you're still having the same occurrences happen, there's nothing being learned. There's nothing's
Police accountability.
changed.
No.
Even with the the smartphones getting better and the ability to record and all this other stuff, but it's still the same events happening all the time. And there has to come a point where people like Oscar, events like Oscar's death won't happen anymore. Shouldn't happen anymore.
I agree, but then you also look. I mean, this is about to be like a weird connection I'm making just in my head, but like you have like horrible stuff like this happening, and then it shouldn't happen anymore. But then you also have kids getting like elementary school kids getting shot. It's like
Well, you have elementary school kids getting guns and shooting people.
yeah, well, yeah, both exactly. You have people going and shooting elementary kids and elementary kids shooting people. Like I think there's a teacher that got shot by an elementary school kid. Like, I mean, not that that's a specific, like an exact parallel between this and and racism
Like gun
and
violence.
gun violence, but I'm just saying gun violence and also just issues that are not being addressed.
And I don't know. It's hard for me, especially, to watch a movie like this, where the ending is so what's going to happen. You get the emotional response of Octavia Spencer to seeing Oscar's body in the morgue. Not even the morgue. She's just
In the hospital, yeah.
let me hug him. He doesn't want to be alone. You get this The film does a really good job of portraying them as normal people that could be you, me, anybody,
because they are.
and 100%. And then you just know that this is still happening. That you get a news report 2 days after we watch it, where it's the same thing almost, and
It's
it's
despicable.
unacceptable. But the movie is so heavy and it's so well done, and it. I know, Mitchell, you don't rate movies about
I,
people's deaths because it's hard to do. It's hard to put a
yeah,
number on a star rating on somebody's life.
it's just hard for me because it's just like what do I because the film becomes like a spokesperson for that, you know.
It's a it
And as
becomes
long as
more it becomes more than a movie.
exactly, and like it's I
It's
mean
a remembrance kind of thing.
yeah, I mean I think I might have rated Malcolm X. I don't know. It's just like I don't know if I did or not. I might have.
I don't think you did.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I know I gave Fruitvale Station 4.5 stars. 5 stars
Yeah,
for me is
I
hard,
don't
but
even know what to put it. Like I just I guess if I was gonna put it, it just I don't know. It just doesn't even feel like makes sense to rate it. I guess that makes
you
sense.
did get Malcolm X rating.
Okay, I thought
But
so.
I think
Anyways, but
Malcolm X is a little bit different because it's like, Malcolm X is a what's it called? Civil rights leader.
it felt more
You
like
got more historical.
like a historical
Meanwhile,
thing. Yeah,
Oscars like Fruitvale Station is a average person's
it just
life.
feels personal. Like I don't know, you know.
It could be someone you
Um,
know. It could be your neighbor. It could be a coworker. It could be a childhood friend that you know. Just bam, they're gone
yeah, I don't know
for no
exactly.
for no reason. For no like. First off, let's discuss what happened with Oscar's death. He was fighting in self defense. The guy punched him first. At least in the movie.
Oh, oh, you
I don't
mean
know about
the
the real event.
oh, you mean the
The guy in the
in the
train
train? Yeah.
punched him
Also, how
first.
did he even single the? How did the police officer even single Oscar
I
out
think
on the
they were
train?
all wearing very similar clothes. That's at least what I saw because I also had the same question where they pulled Oscar off, and I was just like, "But how do you know?" But then I was like, okay, so a couple things that irritate me about this. First off, self defense. The guy got punched first. Should be no reason. It felt very much like a race thing.
Right.
But also, the girl that he was talking to before he got punched saw the whole event and didn't step forward.
What was that, Katie?
The blonde woman.
Yeah, from
She
the
was on the
store.
train and she was recording, but she didn't go in there and try to tell them like, "Hey, he got punched first." Like nothing. No one stepped up.
I think it's probably because what was happening was like, well, I think there's a thing of like the chaos of stuff happening. The police officers like screaming at everybody to get back in the train.
But I don't know. I guess it just irked me that nobody was just like, "Hey, he didn't throw the first punch. The other guy threw the first punch. You should get him." And no one singled out the other guy. But also, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gang members was a
Well, but also
hard.
at that point they didn't know who did what, right?
Yeah, but they saw the guy punched him. Like
No, I know, but like,
the guy is still on the train. They could have been like, "Hey," but I guess it would have made the situations worse. I don't know. I guess it just bothered me that like she didn't step up for Oscar,
especially when he helped her like earlier.
helped her, and then she just pulled out her phone and recorded. And it's just like people do that all the time.
Like recording is not an action. I mean,
The
it's not
the
help.
oh, we got you, we got you. Okay, well, say something because Oscar just got shot, and you could have stepped up and been like, "Hey, it's self defense, whatever." But
I mean, that's not fair. That's probably a real person. We probably shouldn't tell her.
I know,
I mean,
but
I'm sure everybody did.
I
I
don't.
mean,
Once again, I don't know the true event. I wasn't there. Dramatized versions are different. People could have said something different. People could have done differently. But the way the movie plays it is they just pull out their phones, they record what's happening, and like there are people like, "What happened? What happened?" But like no one's stepping up to defend Oscar, and that kind of this irked me. Just like you guys, everyone on that train saw what happened, saw the altercation, and didn't do anything. And that it happens in today's society.
yeah.
People just like, I'm trying to think what there is a man called Otto had the same thing where the guy falls off the train and everyone pulls out their
Yeah.
phones and records Otto saving him because Otto was like, no one else is stepping up.
Yeah. Everybody else was just like recording. And he was like, "So someone gonna help him?" I'm like, bro, what about you?
And that kind of thing happens all the time. And it bothers me that people are more inclined to record than to step up.
Yep, I agree.
And just I don't know, the whole ending with Oscar's death just felt so unjustified and so irritating, and just like, anger, pure rage over what happened, especially in the hospital and seeing Octavia Spencer's reaction, and it's heartbreaking and rough.
Yeah, it's like you don't even like. It's hard to speak words about it.
But if anything, it's a testament to how good Ryan Coogler did directing this, and Michael B. Jordan's performance, and Octavia
Oh
Spencer's
yes,
performance, and everyone has so much passion, and it felt like they understood how important the story was, and they put their all into it.
I agree.
Like it is a relatively short film, 82 minutes long, but it flies by, and at the end, you almost feel like Oscar's a family member.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a beautiful film. Go check it out. It's fantastic, and
Important story.
kind of made this whole podcast episode kind of depressing so far. So let's liven it up with some DC news.
DC news. James Gunn. Hello.
Yes, James Gunn came out at the end of January and finally revealed what he's going to be doing for his plans for DC.
Back in like December when he took over, it was like November, December. He was like, "Okay, we're gonna announce in January our new DC news, like our new slate," and and he waited till the last day of January to do it.
No, I kind of respect James Gunn for that because he's just
I did too. I think it was hilarious. Like
he's like, we're doing it in January, and everyone's just like, now? He's like, no. Now? Nah.
the 31st.
Now, obviously, the DCEU, as we know it currently, is kind of a shamble. It's a disaster. It's not playing out very well. It's been hit or miss all throughout the entire runtime. You got your highs Wonder Woman, lows with Black Adam, but it's been like a roller coaster. Now, James Gunn taking hand and taking control of this whole studio opens up to some interesting decisions and controversial decisions for a lot of Zack Snyder fans, if you believe Twitter. And big thing. We'll kick it off with one of the first announcements, and a big one, the first movie announcement. We have a new Superman movie confirmed, Superman Legacy, which does not star Henry Cavill, much to a lot of people's hatred and disappointment.
Yeah. Henry Cavill. I'm okay with him not being Superman anymore.
I'm
okay.
good with it. And the reason I am good with it, first off, Henry Cavill, fantastic Superman. He's born to be Superman. But there comes a point you need to let new things happen, and you need to let a new actor step in to possibly do a better job. Now, I'm not saying they will. Henry Cavill is fantastic, and it's going to take a lot to lead up to his performance. But as Henry Cavill in the DCU, you need to start fresh. And what better way to start fresh, much like the DCEU did with Man of Steel, than a Superman film?
You know what's hard for me is that, no, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, you should start your, if you're going to restart anything DC and make a franchise out of it, Superman's got to be your lead.
You got to kick off with Superman.
I feel like even Batman isn't that. Superman's your heart of everything.
He is the pure.
Now, what I will say though is it's kind of hard for me to like, I wouldn't say judge these, but I'm if they came out with anything DC, I'd go see it because I love DC content. Obviously, the past since The Dark Knight, we've just been in a roller coaster of ups and downs, and it's really made DC like a
laughing stock compared to Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like, oh, another DC's film's coming out. It's not that serious. But then you have things like the Batman and Joker, which are serious. So it's like nobody knows like whether or not anything's gonna be good or not.
Now Superman Legacy though, James Gunn produced Brightburn, which is kind of a spin on Superman,
which is really good.
And it is really good. So if he can do that with a horror-esque version of Superman, I am so excited to see what he can do with Superman Legacy.
I agree. I think he's going to direct this one too.
I could see it. What's funny is I'm not all about people doing like ego things, but I'm also like James Gunn directed Superman, 100% sold. I don't even care. Like I know he's like, we'll find a director, but I can just see him being like, yo, we need to start this off on the right foot. And there's a saying. You want to do something right, you do it yourself.
Well, I also don't think it's a bad idea because clearly, Slither, Guardians of the Galaxy, what else did you do recently? I can't even remember. Guardians of the Galaxy 2,
Peacemaker, Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Suicide Squad. There we go. Lots of great films that we've seen from him, and he knows that he can specifically nail a tone when he goes for it. And I think that he's going to want to set his DC franchise up for specifically what type of tone we're going to go forward with. I think directing this film would help with that.
I have a lot of faith in this, and I think it'll be a good start to the DCEU. But he's got to have his quirky groups. He loves his little groups of weird people.
He does.
You think about things like Guardians of the Galaxy with Rocket and just completely obscure group coming into mainstream. You got the Suicide Squad bringing up characters like Weasel that you just wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
And then you get a look, and obviously
Polka Dot Man.
Polka Dot Man, but then you get a look at this next group he's doing, which is the Authority. I have no idea anything about that. Do you have anything new?
No.
Okay, have you seen the photo of the group?
Yeah.
Who
Whack.
is that metal robot dude? I don't know why. Like, I don't know anything about this group, but just seeing a picture of the robot guy is like, he's gonna be my favorite. I don't know anything about them, but like, I just like the way he's drawn. And then you got the quirky little animal character, and I'm like, of course, there's an animal character. James Gunn loves his animal characters.
Wait. Was that the? Wait, no. The Authority is more like was this like the person that looks like the Silver Surfer,
Is it? No, because
Yeah,
I feel like the
there's the
Authority.
and then there's the.
No, see. This is how obscure this is because we're just in there like
Yeah, this was the picture he used.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, no, the other one you're talking about is the Creature Commandos.
Oh, dude, dang it. Okay, see, now I didn't even know there was a second girl.
Yeah, so the Authority is also another weird group. They've been known to rival the Justice League.
You think they're gonna use that kind of style?
Yeah.
You really?
Well, no.
I'm not gonna talk to you about what I just showed him, but I'm looking at the photo, and I'm just like, there's like a weird Batman
some
ripoff.
people are thinking that he could be. Yeah, he is. That's the thing. They're like the anti-Justice League.
Anti, so they're villains.
Yes.
Oh, he's delving into the villain arc like Suicide Squad. I'm cool with that.
So basically, I mean, I'm gonna have to read. I actually rented this comic from the library because I want to know more about these characters. But yeah, they're basically like a intergalactic Justice League. Even though, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that basically is good at first, but then they turn evil, and then Superman has to fight them all because they have different opinions on how to. They're not evil. They just have different opinions on how to run the galaxy.
This is very interesting to me. Like, this is the best. Okay, so like, I watched James Gunn's thing, but I didn't really pay attention to like what he was talking about. I was just like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Batman, that's cool.
And
But this is my first. Oh my god, I'm looking at I'm looking at little comic panels, and then I'm just like, this guy just
it's
like
very
snapped
violent.
this guy's head off.
Yeah, it's very violent.
Okay, James Gunn doing this, I accept. I'm excited. I think this might be something that will be fantastic.
And then yes, I mean, take. Yeah, it says like the authority to take matters into their own hands to do what they believe is right.
I respect. I think this will be fantastic. And this is a TV show, correct?
No, this is a movie.
This is a movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sold. I'm sold. I'm excited for this. I think James Gunn does really good with team movies, so I'm just like, yeah, let's go.
Now
I don't think he'll direct it. I don't
No.
think, but I think that he will have a heavy hand in it.
I agree.
I think he'll have a heavy hand in all this, much like Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
But this is exciting.
Okay, so this one for me is my most anticipated film
Excuse me.
out of this entire DC slate and almost anything that DC has. The Brave and the Bold.
Okay.
Batman.
I love this. Okay, so first off, James Gunn confirmed the Robin will be Damian Wayne.
His biological son.
Love Damian Wayne. I think he is a fantastic yin. Like him and Batman have such a great relationship with yin and yang kind of thing. I think Damian really portrays a angrier, younger version of Batman. And Batman at this point, when Damian is introduced in the comics, at least, has already have like 3 or 4 Robins.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of an older, weathered kind of guy who's kind of calmed down a bit. And Damian's a nice like reminder to him like how he used to be when he was younger.
Yeah.
And I love that relationship because Damian's very aggressive and very like, he's an assassin, a trained assassin and stuff. I love their relationship so much. So when I heard that he's going to be the Robin, I'm like, this is it. This is the best Robin we're ever going to have. And I don't care.
I'm just like crazy. Okay. They're starting out with a Brave and the Bold with this Batman that's, I mean, we obviously don't know what they're going to do in the movie. If he's going to have these other Robins at this point, if he's going to have, a Batgirl, if he's going to have a Bat family, already, or if that's something that comes later and Damian's like first in this iteration of Batman. But I'm just very curious as to see how they do this because, this is the first film that they're setting up in this universe of films.
It's such a great sequel. I don't want to say sequel, a follow up to Superman, which is what they should have done in the first place, is have a Batman led movie.
Thank you.
But I'm interested to see what he does with it, and it's exciting for that Batman is getting. First off, we're getting Batman Part 2.
Yeah.
Like I think that's later on in the news anyway. But Batman Part 2, and then we're getting Brave and Bold. Batman is coming to the big screens with a vengeance, and I love it.
Vengeance. So
You like that? You like that?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. That's fine. So Supergirl, is a film. It's a TV show that's been out for a long time, and that has not been doing good. And I don't
I
understand.
think they canceled it.
No, I was about to say that. Yeah, I don't understand how it's been going so long until they canceled it. But it had like 6 seasons
Yeah, it was insane. It
for
was.
some reason.
I never watched it because I never watched any of the CW shows. I heard The Flash was really good, Green Arrow was really good, but the other ones were all kind of like hit or misses. What?
Never seen The Flash.
Like, man, TV shows are hard.
That makes me sad. The Flash is so
It's
good.
the effects.
Even the Arrow was
It's
good.
the visual effects. I just can't handle it. It looks cheap. You tell me, because I've seen clips from it. You tell me that the one where like the Flash is the villain at the end of the season looks good, because it doesn't.
Mm.
It doesn't look good.
I'm not gonna argue with you on that. I don't
That's
know.
fine. I haven't watched the show, and
No,
I don't plan to watch.
I'm
the
not
show,
arguing with you
so.
because I agree with you. That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, so it's the Supergirl show, and then we're getting a movie, correct?
Yes, and that's what I wanted to say because like Supergirl has always been, something that's not been. I mean,
Yeah,
she's been a powerful character, but also not very looked at great in the past few
She has a movie.
years, huh?
There's a Supergirl movie.
Coming out or already
It's already out.
When?
It's from the 80s.
Okay, no.
It's set in the Christopher Reeve Superman universe.
Is there really?
And it's terrible.
Oh boy. Well, okay, so Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is a new feature film coming out. And this specifically follows a Supergirl who was marooned on a piece of Krypton that got, exploded.
I love the concept that like Krypton blew up and then she's just out there just like
Sitting on a rock.
bruh.
And it's based on so Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and it's actually based on that comic run. I actually ordered that from the library too to watch. So I mean,
I'm interested in this. I think it's interesting that they chose to do a Supergirl movie before like Wonder Woman or anything. Like I know we have Wonder Woman movies, and apparently Gal Gadot should still be Wonder Woman.
No,
I'm once again I said apparently I'm not sure. I've heard conflicting
oh
reports.
no, I'm saying I'm not disagreeing with you, but I've heard the same thing. I'm just saying I disagree with that report because it's just
it's weird to me that they would recast other people, but then they'd be like, "But you can stay."
the reason here's why, because I know Shazam, Aquaman,
Blue
Blue Beetle, and there's one other film that's coming out this year. What's the other DC film? There's Shazam, there's Blue Beetle, there's Aquaman, and the Flash. And I heard that Wonder Woman is in the Flash, and she's also in. Or I think I heard she's Aquaman, perhaps. But I also heard that Zachary Levi might be able to come back. I'm telling you that none of them are coming back.
Well, I mean, James Gunn was like, Shazam's safe because it kind of feels like it's its own world.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And then I'll laugh at that because I did the Superman cameo, and since they didn't use his face, they could be like,
it's in its own world. But yeah, but I think it's cool because this is supposed to be like Supergirl is supposed to be more of a jaded character than Superman, because a lot of iterations of Supergirl, she's very much like just a carbon copy of Superman or Clark.
just like a female swap.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's the exact same basically thing. She just got transported to Earth and raised as a human, all that stuff. But this one, she's a little bit more feisty, angry because she's had to murder a lot of people on her rock to stay alive. And so when she gets to Earth, she's a much more angry character, or just not angry, but she has a different view of the world.
I like this. I like that James Gunn is like focusing on anger a lot. Like it just feels funny to me that you're just like, yeah, Superman's cool. And we got Batman with Damian Wayne. We got Supergirl over here, and we got the Authority over here. It's a lot of violence for James Gunn to be kicking out the DCEU.
Speaking of violence,
oh yeah, dude. Okay,
I'll let you do this.
I love Swamp Thing. I love Swamp Thing.
You do?
Why? I do. It reminds me a lot of God, we just watched it. Where Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of that creature.
Did you ever watch Swamp Thing, the TV show that came out?
They have a movie.
Oh.
There's 2 movies.
Oh.
I haven't seen them, but I read the comics with Swamp Thing. I like Swamp Thing.
Cool.
And then this is a horror film in the DCU, and he says a horror film, and I'm like, James Gunn horror. You say?
Did you hear who this is potential director might be?
I read it, but I don't remember it.
James Mangold.
That sounds so familiar.
Logan,
yes, okay. I remember it because Sean talks about on Twitter was talking about how like because it was like the day after the release they were like potentially James Mangold, and he was like, that's something you put in your report.
It is.
Like, if you're gonna do this, it's not late. You put that in your report because that's amazing. And I was just like, I love Swamp Thing.
That would be really cool. Just knowing that dude would make Swamp Thing, I'd be like, yes.
That's amazing. Anyway, the film slate, amazing, perfect films. I'm so excited for all of them. 2025 for Superman. We'll see when the other ones come out.
Yeah, But what's cool about those all these films that like he announced? I mean, there's what 5 films he's announced, and he said that's only part of it. But he said more if he announces more stuff, it's spoilers. So I'm just like,
Oh, bet. Okay, so and then moving on. Okay, so James Gunn did make a very cool announcement, much like Marvel is doing. He confirmed all their TV shows and all their any iteration, animated, live action, even video games.
yep,
Everything's gonna be connected
yep.
and played by the same actors, and
Okay,
it makes it very interesting for me.
I like all that the way that sounds, except video games.
Video games
don't
is
like
messy.
that.
Video games is a messy territory to
Because
get into.
I know it takes like 4 or 5 years for video games to get made. It takes a long time. It could 3 to 4. It takes a long time because you
Unless
get to come
you're,
up with
unless you're
idea.
Activision with Call of Duty, then they're like 2 years.
Yeah, because they use the same engines and the same, probably a lot of the same stuff.
Busted out.
Um,
Can you imagine if Marvel did that with like Marvel Spider-Man? Like, what if that was Tom Holland Spider-Man? It'd get so confusing.
yeah, I don't know about all that.
It'd be a mess. Like Wolverine game's gonna be the movie version of MCU. That'd be insane.
Did you hear that they're gonna make that like rated R?
Good.
Rated M.
Anyway,
Sorry.
moving on. So like the TV shows and all that stuff's gonna be connected and canon.
Yeah, and he actually said, well, okay, this is cool what he said though. He said that because I don't think we've seen a ton of this in Marvel. I don't know yet, but they're gonna move out of animation and into live action.
Yes, and
That's
I
cool.
think it's kind of like I would say kind of like what they did with What If and Doctor Strange, where we had Captain Carter and then she showed up in the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
So it's similar, but I think this will be a lot more fluid.
Exactly.
Which brings us into the first show that I mistakenly called The Authority. Creature Commandos with a cool robot dude, and I don't know anything about them, but it has a robot dude and a creature, and I'm so excited because I'm just like, weird
It
Guardians
looks
of the
goofy.
Galaxy, let's go.
You know what he did though? What was smart that he said that they're gonna weave it in and out of live action because I was not gonna watch this unless he said that. I just don't care. Like it didn't look cool to me. I mean, maybe if people like watched it,
I
and
think
it
it's
was
so
really
funny that you're like, it didn't look cool, and I'm over here like, robot dude.
good. I mean, I just got to think about all the stuff we gotta watch anyways, and I'm just like adding
it
another.
never ends.
Yeah, I'm just like okay, adding another like animated TV show that that look. I mean, I'm sure not all animation is bad. Obviously, one of my favorite Spider-Man films is Into the Spider-Verse.
It's just a lot to add on.
Yeah.
It sounds cool for me, and I think it'll be cool, but I don't know. Anyway, moving on, because we've already talked about that before. We have Viola Davis returning as Waller, which is amazing, in Waller, which live action, correct?
Yep, live action. It just features. It's in between Peacemaker season 1 and season 2. Basically, just dealing with more creature stuff or more DC universe stuff, and also the fallout of. Because at the end of I don't know, did you watch Peacemaker?
I did. I love Peacemaker.
Okay, so at the end of that one, how her daughter basically outs her in her organization.
Yeah.
So basically, it's her dealing with the fallout of that too.
I love Viola Davis though, so I'm like, yes, give me more.
The
of
best
her.
thing to come out of the Zack Snyder stuff was what Viola Davis is Waller.
It's amazing, and then just the idea that like Peacemaker's coming back for it, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a segue to this. Do you think John Cena realized what he was getting into when he signed in for Peacemaker? He was just like, oh yeah, Suicide
No,
Squad, that sounds
absolutely
cool.
not.
And then they're like, TV show, and he's like, oh, that's cool. And they're like, you're stuck here for life. And he's just like, oh,
Oh no.
and they're like,
No, I'm sure he loves it.
people love you in this. And he's just like, cool. And then Dave Bautista's over here like, can I be in it?
No, I think Dave Bautista wants something more, but
Dave Bautista kind of seems like he's over the comic book things, and I appreciate that, especially with Knock at the Cabin. I'm like, let him stretch.
yeah, I don't think like if it was Joker, I think he'd be more interested in that.
I heard that the people are trying to fan cast him as Lex Luthor.
I also heard people trying to fan cast him as fudge. There was another character that people said he would be really good as. I don't know. I can't remember.
I, don't know, I remember Luthor because I think he commented saying that it would be cool, but I once again think he's trying to move away from comic books,
I think he's specifically trying to be a more dramatic actor.
which I'm good with. Do it.
Yeah, same. But anyways, Booster Gold. This is a character that is honestly more of a side character, so it's crazy that we're trying to elevate him to a his own TV show. But this is basically a character that was in the future, comes back to the past and uses the technology from the future to seem cool in the present.
It's such a loser character, and I'm so excited.
I know. It sounds
It feels like it's gonna be just like a pure comedy show where he's just trying to be cool and then just can't do it.
That'd be funny.
Especially because if you look him up online, you see a picture of him in the comic. He does try to look like this cool like jockey kind of character.
Yeah.
And I just want him to be a loser. I just want him to look
You
cool
know
and
what?
be like I'm awesome, and then just keep messing up.
You know what Booster Gold reminds me of? Johnny Bravo.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh my
like
god.
just
Just
like
the idea of it sounds no, I'm cool with that. Yeah, no, it seems stupid, but it seems like a good comedy show.
now these next
Yo,
two.
okay, so like this next one though,
Yeah,
I grew up on James Stewart,
John Stewart.
John Stewart. I had toys of him and I loved him, and that leads into John Stewart and Hal Jordan getting their own show in Lanterns. You
Okay,
think
at
Ryan
first,
Reynolds is gonna come back as Green Lantern?
no, never, never, ever, ever.
People should ask him.
It's like, hey, we're doing DC again, eh?
Hey man, we're doing this another shot.
These
Like
two,
you're great as Deadpool, but like we would really like you to be Hal Jordan. He'd just be like, I killed him.
he did.
I,
He murdered him. He's not alive.
He's like, Ryan Reynolds is not allowed to do that. And they're like, but Ryan, he's like, no, I'm not doing it. I refuse.
Yeah, he murdered. He I guess he can't because he murdered the
Deadpool
Ryan
shot
Reynolds that
him.
played it. Yeah.
Deadpool shot him.
Yeah,
No,
so,
it's cool. I love Lanterns. So it's kind of supposed to be like a noir kind of mystery film, right? Dark mystery. Trope.
no, not
They're
mystery.
like space cops.
Yeah, like a crime thriller.
My thing is,
Like
I was always under the impression that there was only one Green Lantern per sector.
Sure.
Like one, or like I don't know. I always thought I never knew that James Stewart and Hal Jordan could coincide because I always thought it was like one of them, like only one at a time.
I think that was the original thing, but also like
But screw it. It's just
comics, you can write whatever you want.
I know. It's one of those things where like I love that they're bringing James Stewart to the screen. I love that Hal Jordan's coming back.
John Stewart.
John Stewart, dude. James is a better name. Okay.
James is better.
James is a better name. John Stewart. I never really watched him in anything other than like the Justice League animated movies growing up.
Yeah, honestly,
But I always thought he was cool. I don't know. Like I always like.
these two are the main ones I think of as the Green Lanterns.
But
John Stewart.
whenever I would watch whenever I heard Green Lantern, I was always like, John Stewart's cooler. I don't.
Yeah.
Like Hal Jordan's a chump.
Um,
Hal Jordan is such a goody two shoes and everything, and then like John Stewart's just
Just
like
badass.
a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I always just was like, he's better. I don't care. Like I know I haven't seen him in anything. I haven't read the comics, but I could just tell.
you know what specifically makes me excited about this film? Or sorry, TV show?
What?
It's HBO Max.
Okay.
Okay, so the reason I'm excited about that is because the HBO Max is the one that delivers the higher quality content. You know, that's the one that gave us Game of Thrones. That one that gave The Last of Us. You know, we basically
It's so funny that this stuff is coming out, and then they're over here like, no man, we'll cancel some stuff, we'll get rid of things, and then they're like, Last of Us, and everyone's like, this is why you don't do that, because you put out good quality, and people watch it, and then you go around and cancel stuff and be like, we're just gonna get rid of it.
get rid of like what?
Well, didn't they do like a bunch of downsizing stuff where like movies were going off the streaming service made for it last year? Like one of them that comes to my mind is Cole Sprouse had a movie. I watched this movie, but I cannot remember.
Well, I
this
guess there's a
movie.
difference between HBO Max and HBO, right?
Yes.
Like I'm talking about the
But
company of HBO that made the
Yes,
content.
but HBO Max was getting rid of a bunch of movies and stuff and taking off content after
Right.
they got purchased by Discovery,
Right.
which is just weird to me because it feels like they were downsizing and then they're like Last of Us. Oh my god, it's doing amazing. Oh my god, Game of Thrones is doing amazing. Oh, Lanterns, and it's just like you guys are getting rid of content. Like, what are you doing? Just keep adding. Like, what? Stop.
Okay, I am not really sure. I don't know. I haven't heard about that.
I think we talked about it a while ago, but I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so moving on, and this is where I get confused, is this next show. Because with everything happening in the DCU, it's weird. This is Paradise Lost, which is a television show based on the Warriors of Themyscira, which is where Wonder Woman's from. Which brings me to the question of, like, is Gal Gadot still Wonder Woman? Because if this is set before the movies, this makes no sense in, like, their timeline, but I don't understand.
I don't think so, but we don't know.
It
All they said was like,
he said, I don't know, the way James Gunn worded it made it seem like it was still the same Themyscira.
that is what it seemed like, yeah. But I'm thinking by the time we get to it, it's not going to be.
It's a show where not much is known, but it sounds cool.
Yeah, basically just set at Themyscira, and it's based on the Amazons and the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It focuses on the genesis and political intrigue of an island of all women, but it was way before Wonder Woman showed up. So
Yeah,
I think-
it's just one of those things where I'm like, you could get away with it,
But this is also supposed to be HBO Max, which I think is really cool, or
Aren't
HBO
aren't,
show.
aren't all the shows going to be HBO? I
I
think so.
I guess that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. It's exciting with this announcement. I know that you said that he has a lot of stuff still in the works, but I feel like this calmed a lot of people down about him being in charge because a lot of people were just like, he's ruining everything. And then they get this announcement. They're like, "You doing a Swamp Thing movie? That's kind of cool. You doing a Brave and the Bold movie? That's kind of cool." And he's just like, "See, I know what I'm talking about."
Yeah, I feel like some people are. There's people that will just rant no matter what.
Oh, did you
Um,
hear about everybody trying to get Netflix to get the rights to Zack Snyder's like Snyderverse stuff? Like this makes guys stop.
what are you doing? Why? No, stop it. Just
It's cool. Let it die.
stop.
Some things need to die. You can't complain about it and then try to save it. Like make up your mind.
Why they weren't that good? They weren't that good.
They were average. They were average.
They
Like Zack Snyder's Justice League was good, but like, come on. It was only good because compared to Justice League, it's good.
yeah.
Like,
Okay, but here's the thing. Even if that film is good, right? Even if we all agree that Justice League is good, because I do agree, Zack Snyder's version.
thank you for clarifying. I was really like,
Yeah.
what?
Justice League was just okay, but Zack Snyder's Justice League was really good. No, stop. We're moving on. Stop. Just nobody cares about Justice. Zack Snyder doesn't even want to do it. He said he has other films. Why would you want to come back to that? Nobody. Also, why would you want
He's
that?
busy with Rebel Moon. Like, move on.
Like, to me, that just sounds. I mean, it honestly just doesn't sound like anybody like actually wants to watch like good films.
Now, speaking of moving on, though, you know what isn't moving on? DC Elseworlds.
What?
DC Elseworlds. Joker 2, the Batman 2. James Gunn continuing that kind of stuff is fantastic and something I wish Marvel would look into.
Oh yeah, basically he announced that not only is he going to be doing all this new slate set in the DCU, but they're doing DC Elseworlds properties or just projects, which are basically specifically labeled as DC Elseworlds, but which is films that aren't connected to the main DCU. And
Kind of like a multiverse type of thing, but without
Yeah.
the multiverse label.
Yeah.
And being able to live in a world of their own, which is something Marvel is too scared to do.
I just don't. Okay, I don't know if that's too scared. I just don't think they've designed it that way because I know Kevin Feige. I mean I don't know him.
The problem is if Marvel tried to do it, they've already made this 26, 28 movie world universe where everything's connected, and then they'd be like,
No,
I don't know, man. Here's this random movie, and then people would be like, well, how's it connected? And they're just like, it's not.
I don't think that would be an issue if they properly planned it out. It would be something that would take a long time. I think, not a long time, but like they, like James Gunn is doing. They plan stuff out 5-10 years in the future. Marvel does the same thing 5-10 years in the future. So we don't see.
Can you imagine planning things out 10 years in the future? That's insane. I bet both studios have this giant whiteboard just covered in strings where things like this is connected to this and this is connected to this. We can't mess this up because this is connected to this. And it's probably just like people walking there like, that gives me a headache.
It's also weird to do because like DC, you kind of have like a built-in audience and superhero genre, like pop culture. That Marvel's would definitely brought people into theaters. So when you have DC making plans and making announcements, they're going to go into theaters. But the studio should not do this. Like this is a bad idea because Tom Cruise's Monster Hunter or Monster Universe that they were trying to create, scrap that immediately.
You didn't like the Photoshop photo with Johnny Depp and all of them?
I don't remember that, but
oh my god, dude, it is so funny. Okay, so people are not knowing they tried to do the Universal Monsters extended universe,
like the Mummy and like
Mummy, and they made the Mummy, and they expected the Mummy to do so well.
And it didn't do that well.
It did not. It did not do well.
Is that the film that they CGI'd his abs on?
Yes, because he was like, if I'm going to be shirtless, I got to have abs, and it looks
Terrible.
I'm looking up this photo, so I'm just trying to like keep things moving. Okay, so they did this right, and they announced like Russell Crowe is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It's like this is like supposed to be the Samuel L. Jackson of the universe. You got I don't know her name as the Mummy, and then they had Javier Bardem as the Wolfman, and then they had Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man, and so they photoshopped this photo of all the actors together to try to promote the like universe, and it is so bad.
It's photoshopped?
It's photoshopped.
It looks pretty good for a Photoshop.
He's not even actually touching him. He's like
I'll put the for you guys at home watching YouTube. I'll put the photo up. I mean, obviously you'll see it, but
everything just like looks layered weirdly and like fake, and there's no shadows on anybody, and they're not there together, and they're all sitting there posing for this
why
photo.
does it look so classy?
I don't know, but then like they're all wearing these dress like suits and stuff, and then Tom Cruise is just sitting there in jeans and a black shirt.
He didn't put a blazer on or anything.
Nothing, and everybody else is wearing like a fancy dress pants or suits and
you like how it's just like 4 white guys and a white girl.
Yeah, and it's
There's
terrible.
no diversity at all.
It's terrible, and it like the Mummy was terrible, so they canceled it. And you know what we got out of that? You know what we got?
Huh.
The Invisible Man in 2020.
That was a good film.
I didn't like it, but I'm biased. Okay, so oh my god, I just lost so many people.
We lose people all the time. It's okay. I'm
So
sure we lost it.
the reason, this is a complete segue, and just because we brought it up, The Invisible Man just didn't work because I watched the 1931 one right the day before, and I liked that one more, and I felt like the new one was a disappointment.
Yeah, no, I
I haven't rewatched it. I might change my mind on a rewatch. I don't plan to rewatch it.
I might change my plan to rewatch, but it's never gonna happen. So.
I don't plan on it because I just didn't like it, and it's one of those things where like when you watch a movie and you don't like it. And you're like, well, maybe I should rewatch it. And you're like, but I didn't like it. So do I really want to rewatch it? No.
I feel you.
Or like when you watch something that's really good and you love it, but then you're like, if I rewatch it, am I going to still love it? So you just never rewatch it. It's the same thing.
Definitely. So any last minute thoughts on DC news we should talk about here?
Joker 2 is going to be a musical.
I think it's going to be a part musical. I don't think it's going to be a full-on musical.
If I don't hear Joaquin Phoenix bust out in a song in Arkham Asylum, I'm going to be so disappointed.
He's just going to start laughing.
I don't know. I think that's I like that they're keeping that stuff. James Gunn needs to do more.
I agree. Okay,
anyway,
well.
Moving on and ending the podcast. Thank you for listening to us. We ranted about Fruitvale Station.
Sad.
And kind of mellowed everything out. And then we picked everything back up with a look into DCU.
Yeah, let us know what you thought.
Can't call it the DCEU anymore because it's just DCU.
It is just DCU, yeah.
And it's kind of confusing because I'm just all I think about is like Detective Comics Universe.
Detective Comics DCU.
But I also just keep it on to be like D Cinematic Universe.
DC. Oh yeah, the MCU, Marvel Cinematic. The DCCU. That's what it should be. DCCU.
But anyway, thank you for listening to us. We enjoy talking about this. Let us know what you're excited for in the DCU. It's gonna be so hard to keep that straight. In the DCU, let us know your thoughts, your most excited project. Let us know if you think Swamp Thing is gonna be the best thing out of this. It definitely will be.
Well, maybe if James Mangold's directing, it'll be cool. But
it's got yeah, I know Batman. As immediately as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, but Batman. Anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time. Oh, we didn't.
Yeah, probably should show where you can find us.
No, screw that. We're done. Cut it.
Cut it. No.
Anyway, you can find me at Letterboxd at Payne Reviews, PAYNE Reviews, TikTok at Payne Reviews, and on Twitter at Sanguine Films.
And you can find me at Mytchel Chandler. Pretty much everywhere. I'm spelled MYTCHEL. If you want to follow the podcast at Into the Filmverse Podcast, just look it up. It's everywhere.
You like how I'm trying to take charge more, and I just
like
keep messing everything
up. No, it's
up.
okay. I've been doing it for years, and so you're just getting into it.
I got it this time, and I'm just like, bye. And we're not done yet.
That's all, folks.
Anyway, until next time, Excelsior!